In early 2001, one app was on everyone's lips. It was all over the tech blogs. It was a talk of venture capital. The biggest celebrities on the planet were on there. That app was Clubhouse. I'm sorry if you missed it. It soared to 10 million weekly active users. And in a funding round in April 2021, it had a mind blowing reported $4 billion valuation. It felt like we were watching the future of social media unfold in real time. But just as fast as it blew up, it faded away. The buzz died, the users left, and the app, once whispered about in the same breath as billions of dollars, became a ghost town. A strange relic of a strange time. Active user numbers fell off a cliff, dropping by over 60% from their peak in just 6 months. So, what on earth happened? How did an app with a rocket ship trajectory, perfect timing, and a massive price tag fail so spectacularly, missing its golden opportunity? This is the story of how Clubhouse's greatest strength became its fatal weakness. The perfect storm. To really get why it fell apart, you have to understand how insanely fast it blew up. Clubhouse was launched in April of 2020 by founders Paul Davidson and Rohan Seth. Their timing was either a stroke of genius or just unbelievable luck. The world was heading into a global lockdown. People were stuck at home, starving for a connection, and completely sick of staring at their own faces on Zoom. This is where Clubhouse came in, a social audio app. The idea was simple, but for that moment, revolutionary. You could pop into digital rooms and listen to or join in live discussions, unscripted conversations. It was like a live podcast you could be a part of, or a giant conference you could call, you actually want to be in on. No cameras, no pressure to look good, just raw, authentic human voices. But the secret sauce, the real fuel for the fire, was exclusivity. For the first year, Clubhouse was only on iOS, and more importantly, it was invite only. I know, because I personally sold a couple invitations. I'm going to be honest. You couldn't just get on the app. Someone already on the app had to invite you. This created a mass sense of FOMO, the fear of missing out. It wasn't just another app, it was an exclusive club everybody wanted to be in. Invites became a status symbol, turning the first users into gatekeepers of the next big thing. Then the celebrities arrived. The platform's raw, unfiltered vibe drew in huge names. Elon Musk famously broke the app when he joined the room, blowing past the 5,000 person limit and sending everyone scrambling to a wait list. I remember that specific conversation with Elon and I think Kanye being live streamed from Clubhouse onto YouTube because Clubhouse just couldn't handle that kind of traffic. I mean, even Oprah, Drake, and Mark Zuckerberg all popped in, creating these you had to be there moments. By February 2021, the app was pulling in 10 million users every week. It was lightning in a bottle. Investors were lining up, and at its peak, Clubhouse reportedly were in discussions with Twitter about a potential acquisition with a rumored price tag of $4 billion. They were on top of the world, but they made the fatal choice. They decided to stay independent, betting they could fly even higher on their own. It was a gamble they would live to regret. The Empire Strikes Back. While Clubhouse was celebrating, the giants of Silicon Valley were watching and taking notes. They saw the appeal of social audio, and they weren't about to let another startup walk away with a brand new market. So they did what most do best. They copied it. The attack was fast and ruthless. Twitter, which had already been in those acquisition talks, quickly rolled out Twitter Spaces. Facebook announced live audio rooms. Spotify, LinkedIn, and Discord rolled out their own versions. All of a sudden, Clubhouse's brilliant idea was not so special anymore. I will say the only one that's still around is Twitter, and, live spaces that people actually use. Nobody uses any of these other options. Maybe Discord, but that's it. And let's be real, these competitors had a massive advantage. First, they already had billions of users. They didn't need to build an audience from scratch. They had, just to roll out the new feature. A Twitter user didn't have to download a new app or build a new social graph. They just open an app they already use every day. Second, they had infrastructure. While Clubhouse sometimes struggled to handle its own growth, the tech giants can handle huge crowds without breaking a sweat. And third, maybe the biggest blow, they already had ways for creators to make money. Platforms like YouTube and Facebook had spent years building robust systems for creators. Clubhouse was slow to get monetization going, giving up its very little talent, giving them very little reason to stay loyal to the platform. The very thing that made Clubhouse feel like a revolution, the live drop in audio, was now just everywhere. Its competitive advantage had vanished almost overnight. That's really what it felt like living it. The app that felt like a whole new world was just now one of many options, and frankly, it was becoming the least convenient one. By the way, if you like this go-to-market strategy, if you like this brand breakdown, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing. Strategic missteps. Facing a full-on assault from every corner, Clubhouse made a series of blunders that sealed its fate. The first major mistake was how slowly it expanded. The app stayed iOS only for a full year, finally getting around to an Android version around mid-2021. By then, the hype was already fading and Twitter Spaces was out, and they just missed their shot. At the same time, they killed one thing that made them feel special: the exclusivity. In July 2021, they dropped the invite-only system and opened the doors to everyone. The idea was to spark new growth, but it did just the opposite. The velvet rope was gone and the club didn't feel so cool anymore. With the floodgates open, the quality of conversations took a nosedive, and it curated high-value communities of the early days were overrun with noise. Most of the original creators were gone. More of the scammers started popping up. I saw VC scammers to the regular course scammers, the coaches coaching coaches, all of that stuff. And it just lost its value. Even worse, the platform couldn't get a handle on content moderation. As the app grew, so did the problems. Harassment, missing information, hate speech, all of it started popping up in rooms. And again, I want to say from anecdotal evidence, I witnessed some of this myself. Some crazy racist moments. The place was, at one point a hub for healthy, original, innovative conversation, but then it became just chaos. They failed to innovate beyond that one core feature. While other platforms were weaving audio into a rich ecosystem of text, photos, video, Clubhouse was just a one-trick pony. All the while, the reported $4 billion acquisition with Twitter loomed in the background, a ghost of an opportunity missed. By choosing to do it alone and chasing the even bigger prize, the founders had unknowingly walked away from their billion-dollar exit right as the ground was crumbling beneath them. The aftermath. The final blow wasn't a competitor or bad decision. It was just reality. The captive audience that was desperate for virtual hangouts was now eager to get back to real life. Zoom fatigue was replaced with a hunger for actual in-person experiences. And the time we were willing to spend on live audio apps just evaporated. For a lot of people, Clubhouse was a pandemic fad, and the pandemic was ending. User numbers fell off a cliff. People who had downloaded the app out of curiosity just stopped opening it. The once buzzing hallways went quiet. The must-hear talks with celebrities were replaced by an endless scroll of crypto scams and low-effort rooms. The novelty was gone, and with no deep reason to stay, users just drifted away. The company has since tried to pivot. In late 2023, they announced a huge redesign, shifting away from live opening rooms to smaller, asynchronous groups, messages called chats, and nobody really cares about that. They laid off more than half of their staff and are now trying to build Clubhouse 2.0, a platform more about talking with your friends than listening to famous strangers. The pivot felt like it came way too late. It was a quiet admission that the original idea was just not working anymore. So how did a company with a reported $4 billion valuation and the world's attention just fail? The story of Clubhouse is a perfect storm of bad luck, brutal competition, and how impactful a few critical mistakes can actually be. Its timing was perfect for the pandemic, but relying on a temporary global crisis became a curse of the moment when the world reopened. Its core idea was so good it was instantly ruthlessly copied by giants who made the wrong moves. Its core idea was so good that it was instantly and ruthlessly copied by the giants who had advantages Clubhouse just couldn't overcome. When it was time to make tough calls, Clubhouse just made all the wrong moves repeatedly. It held on to exclusivity way too long, then dropped it at the worst possible time. It failed to innovate, failed to give creators a reason to stay, and most importantly, it failed to take the money when it had the chance. Clubhouse is a massive cautionary tale. It proves why viral hype isn't the same as a sustainable business. It shows how incredibly hard it is to build a social network in the shadows of giants. And it really hammers home the difference between a feature and a growing company. Clubhouse was a brilliant feature and a really fun time. But just a glimpse. And if you were there to experience, you remember how impactful Clubhouse was. It was absolutely fun. Oh my God, it was so entertaining because you couldn't ever leave the house. It was like checking into these different rooms, different times of the day. You would just have fun and you made friends. Some of your people from other platforms you might follow on Instagram or Twitter, friends with on Facebook or whatever, who you've never heard. You now hear them on this app and you talk to them and you meet other different people and you make connections and relationships with them. And it was just an incredible glimpse in short time period of humanity, really. And I feel like I experienced things on Clubhouse that very few people have, and I'll be talking about it at barbecues and cookouts for decades to come with very few people knowing what I'm talking about. But if you've experienced Clubhouse, let me know what your experience was like. Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe, like the video. I'm Chris. I will see you next time.